Don't chase, attract. Stoic philosophy on letting go to achieve what you want. The essence of Stoic philosophy revolves around the cultivation of virtue, emotional resilience, and the wisdom to understand and accept the nature of the universe. One of the most powerful and paradoxical principles within Stoicism is the idea that in order to achieve our deepest desires, whether they are related to success, love, wealth, or personal fulfillment, we must let go of the desperation to chase them. Instead, we should focus on cultivating the right mindset and actions, and in doing so, we will naturally attract what we seek. This idea, don't chase, attract, is both a philosophical approach to life and a practical way of navigating the challenges and desires that arise in our journey. 1. The core of Stoic philosophy. What is within our control? At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. This distinction can be summarized in a simple but powerful statement by Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. For Stoics, the most important thing to focus on is our inner world, our character, our responses, and our actions. The external world, the events, people, circumstances, and outcomes we experience, is largely beyond our control. The Stoic idea of control revolves around the idea that we have the power to decide how we respond to external events, but we cannot control the events themselves. For example, we cannot control the weather, the actions of others, or the way a situation turns out, but we can control our reactions to these things. When it comes to desires and goals, the Stoic approach emphasizes that while we can take action to pursue our goals, we should not attach ourselves to the outcomes. By focusing on the process, on cultivating virtue, and on controlling our responses, we are far more likely to attract positive results naturally. 2. The problem with chasing, desperation and attachments. The act of chasing, by its very nature, implies a desperate attachment to an outcome. Whether we are chasing after a promotion, wealth, approval, or love, we often do so with the belief that these things will bring us happiness or fulfillment. This belief, however, can be problematic. Chasing implies a sense of lack, of striving to obtain something we feel is missing from our lives. The Stoics argue that the pursuit of external rewards, while not inherently wrong, can become a source of suffering when we become overly attached to them. When we are attached to an outcome, we begin to measure our worth or happiness by whether we attain that outcome. If we don't get what we want, it leads to frustration, anxiety, and despair. This is evident in many aspects of life. People chase after material success, public recognition, love, or even approval from others, only to find that when they attain these goals, they do not lead to the long-lasting fulfillment they had hoped for. This cycle of chasing and achieving, only to realize that we still feel empty or dissatisfied, can become exhausting. The Stoic solution to this is to focus inward and to let go of the attachment to any specific goal. Instead, they advocate for focusing on becoming the best version of yourself and letting life unfold naturally. The paradox of letting go. The power of detachment. The Stoic paradox is simple. The more we let go of our attachment to outcomes, the more likely we are to achieve what we desire. This is not about abandoning our goals or becoming passive in life, but about shifting the focus from chasing to attracting. Stoicism teaches us to practice detachment, not in the sense of avoiding desires altogether, but in understanding that the outcomes of our desires are not entirely within our control. By practicing non-attachment, we cultivate an inner peace and emotional resilience that allows us to pursue our goals with a sense of calm rather than anxiety. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on our dreams or abandoning our work. It means accepting that whatever happens is part of the natural order of the universe. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, emphasizes this idea by reflecting on the transience of life and the inevitability of change. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. In other words, our desires are just perspectives that can shift over time, and the world around us is constantly changing. When we attach ourselves too rigidly to an outcome, we may miss the opportunities that present themselves along the way. Stoics teach us to remain open to change and to accept what comes, even if it's not exactly what we initially wanted. The role of virtue in attraction. Cultivating inner strength. A key tenet of Stoic philosophy is that virtue is the only true good. Virtue in this context refers to living in accordance with reason, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. In contrast to external success, which can be fleeting, virtue provides a stable foundation for living a good and fulfilling life. When we focus on developing virtue, we inherently attract the right people and circumstances into our lives. Virtue aligns us with the natural order, and living virtuously allows us to embody the traits and qualities that the world around us responds to. By practicing self-discipline, humility, patience, and kindness, we build a reputation for being someone who is trustworthy, reliable, and grounded, qualities that attract others and opportunities. The Stoic notion of virtue is rooted in the idea that we are not seeking external rewards, but rather living in harmony with the natural law of the universe. By embodying virtue, we naturally draw positive things into our lives, but these things are no longer the focus. They come as a byproduct of the virtuous life we are living. The Stoic approach to desire, desiring what is within our control. Stoicism does not advocate for the elimination of desire. Rather, it suggests that we should desire wisely. The Stoics encourage us to cultivate desires that are aligned with what is within our control. For example, the desire to become a better person, to live ethically, or to engage in work that brings meaning. These are desires that are not dependent on external factors, and thus they can be pursued without the same level of anxiety or frustration. Furthermore, Stoics practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, a technique that involves imagining the worst-case scenarios to prepare mentally and emotionally for them. By contemplating what could go wrong, we detach ourselves from the fear of loss, rejection, or failure. This practice enables us to embrace life as it is, without getting overly attached to specific outcomes. In the context of personal goals or desires, this means that if you want a particular result, say success in your career, you can work hard and dedicate yourself to your craft, but at the same time, you release the attachment to the idea that success will necessarily come. You accept that while your effort is within your control, the outcome is not. If success comes, you enjoy it. If it doesn't, you remain at peace knowing you have done your best. 6. The freedom of non-attachment, a path to inner peace. One of the most powerful aspects of Stoicism is its focus on freedom. The Stoic path to freedom is not the freedom to do anything we desire, but the freedom from being controlled by our desires. By releasing attachment to outcomes, we gain a sense of autonomy and inner peace. This freedom comes from knowing that we are no longer slaves to external circumstances or results. Epictetus, in his teachings, emphasizes that true freedom is found in the ability to choose our responses to life's challenges. No man is free who is not master of himself. By mastering ourselves and our desires, we find peace in knowing that we are always in control of our own reactions. This freedom, the ability to choose how we respond rather than how we react, allows us to live authentically and to naturally attract what we seek without the desperation of chasing it. 7. Conclusion, attracting by letting go. The Stoic principle of don't chase, attract encapsulates a life lived with wisdom, virtue, and inner peace. By focusing on cultivating virtue, letting go of attachments to specific outcomes, and aligning ourselves with what is within our control, we can achieve a life of fulfillment and tranquility. This paradoxical approach, where letting go of our grasp on external rewards allows us to attract them, challenges us to trust in the process and embrace life as it comes, knowing that true success lies not in chasing, but in living virtuously and letting the universe unfold naturally. In this way, Stoic philosophy teaches us that the key to a flourishing life is not in constantly striving for what we want, but in attracting it by becoming the best version of ourselves. Through acceptance, resilience, and wisdom, we naturally align with the world, creating space for our desires to manifest without force or desperation. The art of letting go is the art of living with intention, clarity, and trust, knowing that we are enough regardless of external circumstances.